Hello and welcome to Warhammer Total War, as this is going to be my little fun game I get to play on the channel. May not be what everyone finds interesting, but that's alright. I am going to try to do a Grombrindal the White Dwarf playthrough in the Mortal Empires campaign on very hard, very hard. Now, I am oh so mediocre at this game. So this is going to be a difficulty for me. I'm going to have to really focus in order to get this done. However, Grombrindal here has some nice bonuses that he is going to bring to the battlefield that will allow me to get it done. Evasion chance using the Underway, which is a special dwarven mechanic. Well, for also a few other races have it. But 60% evasion chance, which is good. So we'll be able to move around in the Underway a little bit easier. It will be a bit more slippery. Weapon strength when fighting elves. Not that important yet, but eventually we will have to quell Lothran, so that will come in useful there. And then we can call upon the power of the ancestor gods, which will be really useful in the early game to give us a nice boost to our army. And then some leadership and reinforcement range. We get some additional starting units of Iron Drakes, which are essentially heavily armored flamethrowers, which will, I think, be our linchpin in our early game army, where everything will revolve around how we use our Iron Drakes correctly. Some miners with blasting charges, which throw frickin' satchels of C4 at the enemy as they charge. Great for breaking up cavalry charges. And gyrocopters with a brimstone gun, which will give me a little bit of mobility. Now, dwarves are quite slow, as they're shorty little people. They got short legs and they're pretty heavily clad in armor. But we're going to make up for that with some good frontline unit organization to protect artillery units so that we don't have to worry about being quick. We just have to have more firepower. We're going to give this a go with Grombrindal, the White Dwarf. Now, I do have a few mods in here. Majority of them are just quality of life mods. So a camera mod that allows me to hide my UI, something that moves the camera at the end of the turn a little bit faster, that kind of stuff. Also, some additional gameplay maps that we can run into to hopefully give things a bit more flavor, as the average battle in this game can get a little repetitive after you've fought for, 100 of them. Oh, it's this map again. Well, I'll just do this exact same strategy I've done 50 times before, sort of thing. So hopefully some maps, extra maps on there will give us some more variety. There are, is it 3 or 4 different mods that I put on that are gameplay affecting, but I don't think they're that bad. I enjoy playing with them, so I'm going to put them on. The first being that I just get a slightly higher replenishment rate as we're in our dwarf holds, so that our units replenish a little bit faster, so we can not have so much downtime in between having a big battle and going into the next one. Hopefully make it a bit more interesting of a series. And I believe we're about to get the intro here.
Hail to you, Grombrindal, ancestor of legend. You have secured Karazakarak, defended it from the green-skinned fiends, and put their gutless horde to rout. Yet more remains undone. The bloody spears still infest the mountains to the east, setting up their hovels amidst your sacred pillars. Dwarfen lands lay sullied by their sickening taint. You must be the hero of the ancient sagas, and march for their deliverance. To the south, yet more vicious Urki and Groby lay ready to strike at your kin. Perhaps even the loathsome Black Goblin. Know that there are other dwarfen lords who would gladly ally with one so legendary as you, for common cause. The dwarfs will know a new age of prosperity, heralded by the battle cry of Grombrindal, the White Dwarf.
Grombrindal, the White Dwarf. But yes, here we are starting in Kanajashi as our main base. The other mods that I have that affect gameplay is that hiring additional lords, normally this would increase the upkeep of all of your units by a couple percent. I have disabled that because I think it's just like the concept behind it is you can't just spam lords and just have armies everywhere. But with a very hard campaign, eventually at some point I'm just going to be overrun by having to have like armies everywhere in order to combat the different fronts that will be opening up. So I removed that to make that a little bit easier. Beyond that, when we do siege battles and there are walls, you'll actually have turrets on the walls. Normally those are able to fire the entire length of the map, so you can't hide from them. You just have to immediately attack. I've put on a mod that shortens their range but widens it out, so there's less dead spots near the walls. Like right up against the wall, if you're climbing the walls, you're not getting shot by the towers. But just standing just in front of the walls, you're still being shot. But it stops at your deployment range. So that way, if you have artillery, they can actually do what they're supposed to and bombard. But here we go. That's pretty much all of the changes that I've put on here. Let us get this going. Oh, one more is that I have it so that the garrison, the buildings here, your major settlement can go up to, and go away, dude, can go up to tier 5. Or is that, no, yeah, tier 5. Your minor settlements would only go up to tier 3. But I like playing with one that adds it so you can go up to tier 4, which is quite nice for the dwarves because they have a whole bunch of tier 4 buildings in their economy. So that one's probably the cheatiest of them all, is that I'm going to be able to get a lot of additional economy buildings in my dwarven holds. But that's okay. I need the help because I'm bad at this game. But here we go. Grudge issued. We need to defeat an army belonging to the following faction. So we need to get these guys off the field.
I am the White Dwarf.
And now we most likely could just take them right away, but because I'm aggressively bad at this game, I'm just going to pop in here for a second. And let's get a few more warriors before we go out there and do it. Our miners being our sort of throwaway units at this point in the game. Dwarf Warrior is just better in every single aspect, massively better in melee defense, so we're going to be focusing on those. Miners, they have armor piercing, but at this point, these orcs and such have no armor, so we don't really have to worry about that yet. For technology, I think the first thing we want to do is increase our Dwarf Warriors and Miner units. And in Karazakarak, we're going to increase it to an outpost. And we're going to get our Gem Mineshaft, as it's going to increase our income by 300 per turn, which is going to be delicious. We could get a Trinket Maker, but that's only 200 per turn, so this is obviously better. The only downside to that is this takes 3 turns to get started. Well, this only takes 1 turn, so this will give us more immediate income, but this will give us better long-term income. We're going to have to make a lot of those decisions over this campaign of whether or not we want to, say, hire a group of units now, or not hire those units, hope we survive with the units we have, and then invest the money that we're getting back into our economy so that we can go further with that. There'll be a lot of those decisions. And as we go through the end turn here, for the beginning, I'm probably not going to edit them out, as, you know, it's just a fair amount of work. And we can also see when the world events occur, war declared between Bargvar, which is actually a dwarven hold just to my southwest, and the Scabbii, which is another tribe of orcs. So, good to know that those guys are fighting. Hopefully I can help Bargvar take out the Scabbii before Bargvar is defeated. Ooh. So, these guys here, we already have, I believe, some relations with them. Yeah, we have non-aggression, we have military access, and we do have trade. which we are currently just trading tariffs. We don't have any goods that we can trade back and forth yet. Probably in a few turns we could get a defensive alliance with them, but they are fighting these guys. Akendorf, do you know of me? Let's get a non-aggression pact with them, which will start to increase. We're going to go to 34 next turn. Excellent. This is moderate chance?
I'll ignore that.
Not yet. Okay, next turn we can probably get that, or at least soon we can get that with them, because I really want to get trade going with them as soon as we can. But we have our additional dwarf warriors for a nice easy front line, and this fight here should be nice and easy. Oh yeah, just getting those additional 3 guys is making this great. But since this is the first battle, we'll head on in so we can take a look at some of our units on the battlefield. Now, for the initial fights here, the problem with these orcs here is I tried playing a very hard campaign for about 30-ish turns just to see how I did, to see even if I wanted to make a YouTube series of it. And holy crap, they just throw just infinite quantities of orc boys at you in the later game. It's ridiculous how much they can throw at you. So we're going to watch out for that. We'll take all of our units, we'll pop over here just to start, and we'll do a little bit better organization. Because they're right here. So we're probably going to fight right here in this forest. Now, take our infantry units, put them on group 1. Our melee, not our melee, our range units on 2, 3, 4, and 5. Nope, 4. There we go. And an interesting thing, when we have their units in this order, so we have their warriors, then our normal miners, then our miners with blasting charges, and we drag them out, they're also going to array in that order. So you can see warrior, 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 regular miner, miner with blasting charges, and you can see the blasting charges range. What you can do is rearrange within this and then redrag. Go on. Rearrange within. I've done this before, damn it. I want those guys in the flanks. God damn it. Why does this have to be so difficult? There we go. Now we got 1 pickaxe on either side, and I redrag it, and now the pickaxe is on either side. So you can sort of organize your troops through your thing here, which is going to be quite useful. I have my blasting charges on this flank, so I'll lay these guys out. My quarrelers will go in the back. Grombrindal will go up front, because he's a badass. He's really good at punching people. Our gyros will just go on the... we'll go left flank with him. And our iron drakes, our flamethrowers, will go on the right flank. Now, with this camera mod, I can take away my UI, and I can go take a look at my beautiful units. Iron drakes with their flamethrowers. My miners and their blasting charges. And then just my regular throngs of warriors with Grombrindal leading the charge there at the front, ready with his giant axe. It almost looks like his beard is tusks. That's pretty cool. Alright. So the reason why I've done... We'll start the battle here, and we'll grab the entire army and just slide it up a little bit right to there and rotate it a bit. Why I've put the blasting charges on this side is that with the iron drakes, if these guys are charged, because these guys have like 0 charge defense, these guys with blasting charges will cover them, and they'll make sure that they don't get charged by throwing C4 at the enemy. And gyrocopters, we can move in. you do have bonus versus large, armor piercing missile, anti-large. So realistically, we should probably be shooting for the war boss. These goblin archers are weak against armor, so I really don't have to worry because we have some good armor. And these guys have poor accuracy. We'll be fine. These guys won't take damage that quickly. And the main forces here, once they're in that position, we'll move in even further. No, come on. Right to there. Let's pull our gyros out. They've done a little bit of damage. Wasted some of the other guys' ammo. We'll just wait until we engage the actual forces before we get them back in there. Oops. Get them on a path going around the side. And Quarrelers are in range now, and they're going to start shooting. So Quarrelers are shooting. Our guys are taking shots. That's fine. We have a lot of defense against this because we've got armor and shields. Shielding that blocks 35% of small arms. So we haven't even taken a single actual character death, like a single actual unit from the field hasn't died yet. And our Quarrelers are shooting away. You gonna come to me, boys? Or am I gonna have to come to you? Alright. Let's go. Iron Drakes. We're gonna come around the side here. Helicopters, let's come around the side. Start moving in. Ooh, hidden forces. Orc Biggins. That's not a good thing for us to fight. Let's get over top of it and drop our bombs. These guys are charging in. They're throwing their blasting charges, and Iron Drakes are going to do their nasty shit to the sides here. Go, go, Iron Drakes. Evaporate these big uns. Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. And the rest of the guys are fighting away. Grombrindal? Get the hell in there, Grombrindal. You need to go after their war boss. Go after him. Iron Drake's still kicking ass. We're actually going to move you up. Get you a little bit better angle so you can start shooting into these guys in the backfield. And our blasting charges are still being thrown. Good, good, good. Better angle there. We can shoot into the side of these big uns. We don't want to lose too many in our front lines. But they should start to rout soon. There we go. It's routing. Now, it's not a full rout yet, because it's just a flag. If it was a flag and a skull, it was it's a full rout. They will never come back. But as it is now, there's an opportunity for these guys to gather themselves and come back to the battlefield. So we're going to continue to chase them down. We'll just get the helicopter to push them off the field by continuing to attack them. The rest of our guys are doing just fine on the front. As the Iron Drakes going to start routing these archer boys. Awesome. And these warriors can come around the back heel. And they can smash into the back of these orc boys. Which will give these guys a being hit from the rear. And excellent. Our helicopters chased them off the field. So now they are gone permanently. And this guy is also being chased off. So we'll get our Quarrelers. Oh, nope, never mind. He doesn't need to. It's broken. because he's got the skull there. And that's it. The enemy is broken. And they're all good. Well, they're not dead. They'll run away. We'll get our helicopters here to... let's see. See if we can whittle down these orc boys here at 37 units. Now, this guy. No, don't shoot at him. He's at 35 health, and he's running. That is excellent. Because what that means is that when we get to the next fight, he's really easy to take out, and losing your general is a massive downside to your leadership, and you'll probably lose your guys. Excellent. And that should be it. Solid first battle. We did lose some guys. Those orc boys got some kills on us. But these are all just fresh dwarf warrior recruits. Basic infantry, so 'tis expected that we had some issues. But you can see how little damage their archers did. Orc archer boys and the goblin archers only got 9 kills spread between them. Where our Iron Drake got 21. But I've seen Iron Drakes do a lot better than that, and they certainly will once we get a nice strong front line with even more units that it just holds while we maneuver those Iron Drakes into absolutely delicious places and shoot them into hordes of enemy orcs. And what do we got for the post-game here? We'll have a couple choices on what we want to do with the captives. And we'll just have to take whatever is most important for us at that time. A close victory. I'd say we did more than a close victory here. We got 80 gold from that fight. We could release the captives, which would give us another 350 gold. Which will give us release captives for 1 turn. We'll get a casualty replenishment rate of -5%. So our units won't replenish as fast. But it's going to give us money. Or we could execute the captives and have additional leadership for 5 turns, which I believe I can't remember how this stacks, whether or not it's additional turns or just additional leadership. But if you're getting into a lot of fights, you can have a very long-lasting leadership bonus from this. I think the greenskins need to die, and so we'll execute the captives. And we got a grudge removed from our grudge book. We got 1,000 gold and 15 oath gold. And we got a grudge issued to take back the Pillars of Grungi for another 1,000 and 15 oath gold. So if you look at our book of grudges, we've gotten 1 done, and we need to do 1 more there. And if we have too many grudges active at once, we actually get massive decreases to our thing. Well, not truly massive. -10 relations, 3 public order, and additional 10% upkeep with all characters and units. So not horrible, but we definitely don't want to get there. Grombrindal has gotten a point. Leveled up. Let's see. Income from trade 20% is not really needed right now because we don't really have trade. Well, we have 1 trade, but it's only like 50 gold per turn, so 20% increase on that is not needed yet. However, we'll need that in the future. For the rest of his skills, this recruit rank, additional 1, you can get up to 3 for all armies faction-wide is pretty ridiculous, as well as this campaign movement range of +15 for all characters faction-wide. And then Lightning Strike is pretty useful, because then it allows you to fight battles without calling in reinforcements. So as long as my current stack beats his current stack. I think... At first, I kind of want to get Axe Lord. It's not super duper required in late game. Well, it does give it for Longbeard units, which is quite nice. That makes it more useful. Because if we get +8 attack and 8 defense, this is going to take us 4 turns, not 4 turns, 4 levels to get there. That's pretty good for all of our dudes. So we'll get Inspiring Presence to start. We'll max out Axe Lord to just make our front line pretty strong. Eventually we'll get Ancient Acumen, absolutely relentless lightning strike from blue, and then we'll pretty much make Grombrindal into an absolute beast of a man himself as well. Let's pack the Pillars of Grungi.
Let's go.
Ooh, this is a more even fight. Now, I could fight this now, or we can break the siege. That's fine. We don't need to hurry on this. We can move back into range so we get a tiny bit of replenishment. And we can actually get some more units into our group. And we'll take them out next turn. Because then we'll have a really large front line of like 9 or so melee units. So we should, at that point, have enough that we have a solid front. And also enough so that when we get there, we can start to hook our flanks around each side. And then crush the flanks by getting some attacks from the rear. But definitely in the future episodes, depending on how long these end of turns go, we'll have to see if I'm going to edit them out or not. Because considering the fact that we are in the smack middle of a whole bunch of places, we could have some issues. But, oh, this is good. More dwarves attacking blooded axes. Alright. I like it when dwarves go to war with goblins and orcs. It means that there is more enemies for them to deal with, and they don't put all of their focus onto me. But here we are with a stronger stack, and we get our Living Ancestor, which is Grombrindal's unique thing. So every 25 turns, which can be reduced with character skills and such, but we get a choice of a benefit. We get the Kin of Grimmer, which increases our melee defense, reload speed, and melee attack for all units in Grombrindal's army, so it just boosts all of our infantry to ridiculous levels. The Panamura Valaya, which decreases enemy winds of magic. It's the resource that spellcasters use, but dwarves don't have any spellcasters in the traditional sense. They have rune what are they called? Rune spells. They're not actual spells, they're runes on items and such that they use. So they don't care about winds of magic, and they just are on a cooldown system. So having a negative is good for the dwarves, because it means their opponents won't have the ability to cast any spells. Casualty replenishment rate, a public order, and untainted, which will go against corruption. Right now we don't need the public order or untainted, and casualty replenishment rate would be useful, but not required. The Apprentice of Grungi, which gives us Grungi's teachings, additional research rate, upkeep for Grombrindal's army, construction costs for buildings, and recruitment costs for his army. This one is the best for boosting your economy, definitely. As a full stack with Grombrindal, you can see right now, this stack here, which is only 13 out of 20, is already like 2,000 gold. So minus 20% there will mean that we're going to save 200 gold per turn. And then minus 10% on all of our building costs, when buildings are regularly going to be costing us a couple thousand gold, is going to save us another few hundred gold per building. So then things are just going to be greasing the wheels a little bit easier and such. And then the White Dwarf, which gives Grombrindal himself massive amounts of bonuses. And specifically the weapon strength, as it's a percentage. Grombrindal has 500 weapon strength, so plus 30% is 150 points. It's not just 30 points, it's 150, which is ridiculous. But we have to think about what's the best for us in the meantime. We'll be able to change this on turn 28, or earlier if I choose to trait for it, which I could. I think it comes down between two. It's the Apprentice of Grungi for the economic benefit, or Grimmer's Strength for the military benefit. Because this will make it so that my army is just stronger and will probably give me a leg up and allow me to win battles that maybe I shouldn't win early on in the game. I think that's going to do me well for the next 25 turns. Alternatively, I get this, which will give me an economic benefit for the next 25 turns. But I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay with the Kin of Grimmer to give the army massive extra bonuses. So we can see here our melee defense is now 50, which is ridiculous. We take a look at these orc boys. Their melee defense is only 25, so they're going to take a lot more damage in melee than we will. So let's take the Pillars of Grungi. Which... Oh, that looks... that's a beautiful balance of power. I'm actually going to auto-resolve that. Excellent. Didn't take that much damage on our guys. We got some loot from battle. And we could loot and occupy, which would give us 200 gold. Well, almost 300, but that's probably not worth the public order issue at the current moment. So we'll occupy the Pillars of Grungi.
I'm here.
And get our grudge removed for additional 1,000.
Have been put to work fixing up the captured city, sir.
Ambush at
Yet there are
Thundering
many
Halls.
grudges still to settle.
Cool.
Perfidious
And I'll get us a
man
room
and
smith.
Bloodthirsty vampires threaten your kind in the north, and your
Armor of
mountain
Fortune.
will never be safe, while a single green skin draws breath. To war.
To war. I totally agree. Armor of Fortune. Armor, ward save, and physical resistances on Grombrindal. You can't complain about that. That's for sure. And he's also got another skill point, so we can increase the Axe Lord here to give that melee defense even higher for our infantry units. You can see here, available at rank 10, turn time -10 between each passing of the Living Ancestor event. So we can have it down to every 15 turns we can choose a new one, which might be useful to grab that at level 10 so that we can change out of the combat one and get into the economic one after we've secured our area. Awesome. Grombrindal, can you move after that fight? Nope, doesn't look like it. So we'll just spend a little bit more of our money, get some more warriors to shore up our front. And at this point, after we get these guys, that's probably enough for warriors. And we're going to want to look to level this up. One more turn, and then we can take this and turn to a clan barracks, which will give us quarrelers. Give us those crossbowmen. Let's end the turn and see what these silly greenskins do. Also, this is a useful button. This is Decline Diplomacy. If it's, you know, I don't want to deal with diplomacy right now, you can turn that on, and the turn will just continue to go. You won't get any diplomatic notifications. A useful little mod to smooth things along. But at this point, these orcs here, they're suffering attrition. I believe their attrition mechanic is if they lose battles constantly, they start to have infighting, and they basically fight and kill themselves. Dwarves have attrition, I believe it's when the province has really high corruption. So like vampiric or Skaven corruption sort of thing. So we don't have to worry about attrition yet. The vampires are up here. Skaven are they're everywhere because they're rats, but they're not in this area yet. As are very soon here, technology research, gathering the throngs. We got recruitment cost -5% for our warriors, and we are getting militia training, which will increase our warriors and miners. Here, we can see that no corruption at all, which is very nice. We can get this leveled up to get quarrelers. That'll take 2 turns to do that. This, unfortunately, we can't level up right now because we don't have the money for it. But what we should do is get some economic buildings. A barley field will increase our growth, and a trinket maker will increase our economy. So growth is required here to get a population surplus, and then you spend population surplus to level up your keeps. So here we're going to need 2 more. Here we need 1 more. So we have 2 more turns until we get a single surplus point, in which case we could spend it at the Pillars of Grungi to level it up and get another slot. And here's the minor settlements up to tier 4 mod that I have, which will make these extra awesome. So, alright, so that is set up. That's everything I need to upgrade there. This will increase my economy, so that'd be quite nice. And Grombrindal can go and smash some more orcs. Oh, he's just gonna run. That's fine. I'll attack the town. He'll be a reinforcement. Oh, this isn't even fair. We'll just auto-resolve that. Only lost 23 boys. And occupy. Province secured, the Silver Road. So we have the whole province here. What that means now is that we can give a commandment, which will be gone over the entire province. We can actually, because we have the province now, we take a look. We have 830 gold. Actually, this wouldn't come into play until next turn. I could stop this building, end the turn, and get that reduced for 10%. But is that worth waiting the turn? This barracks is 2,000, so I could basically get, this would be 1,800. I could save 200 gold there. I could save, what would this be? You know, like, what would that be? 100 gold there. I could save a few hundred gold by waiting a turn. But then I'd be a turn behind in my trinket maker's production. It's all those little things. So I think I will. I'll cancel all those. I will get the construction cost reduction, as I think that's probably the most useful one right now. And we can see here that Mount Squighorn has also a barracks, in which case we can make units here. Now, that doesn't actually increase the recruitment capacity. If it did, that would be a valid reason to have multiple buildings to be able to have a higher recruitment. But it doesn't. And you would think, oh, well, this only goes up to like rank 3, so you don't want to put it in your big settlement with all of its rank 5 buildings. I don't know. I'm going to destroy it in the minor settlement because if I lose Squighorn for some reason, I don't want to lose my ability to make units. I'm most likely never going to lose Krazakrak because it has a pretty badass garrison already. So we don't need to worry about that. We just need to worry about keeping it alive. We can have Squighorn and Pillars of Grungi be, most likely, if we look at the building browser, it's going to be a wall, a guard room to increase its garrison, make it harder to attack and add walls. And then it's going to be growth with the Baker's Guild Hall and Toolmaker's Guild Hall for economy. And then once the province is completely grown out and we don't need any more growth here, we can get rid of the Baker's Guild Hall and then add a Feast Hall or a Guild Marketplace to boost our economy or public order even higher, which will be excellent. We also have unassigned skill point, Mord Axe Lord. And let's end the turn. Not recruiting there, as I don't need any more warriors. I need some quarrelers. And actually, soon I would like to get some catapults. Yeah, nothing really of note happened during that end turn, so I cut it out, because why not? We do have an enemy army mustering here at Kanajashi. So these guys are probably going to muster up to a 20 stack, move up to here, move underneath using the underway, and then attack Squighorn or Pillars of Grungi. So that's not a good thing. We don't want that to occur. But now that our edict, or our reduction in construction cost has gone through, we can save a whole bunch of money, and we can possibly get this gem mine as well. Now, I was going to put both growth and the other thing here, probably the best. Although I so want the Siege Workshop to get a freaking Grudge Thrower. Just a single Grudge Thrower would make life easy. But it's not required yet. We're not going to need to siege anything with walls for a while. Because this place won't have walls, that won't have walls. None of this will have walls yet. Once we get down to Black Crag, then we'll absolutely need to have siege units. But we also want to go north to Gunbad really quick because it's a strategic location. They have special buildings for the dwarves there and gold. There's a gold mine here. This strategic location is actually a Brightstone mine, which is super gold essentially. It's a really rare and expensive dwarf resource.
You know who I am?
So, getting that will be extremely bloody useful for our dwarves. Just moving my guys to Pillars of Grungi here, so that they're in the middle of the province and can adapt to any attack as needed. And yeah, we'll get the various economy things. Growth, trinket makers, and now here's the choice. More growth or more economy? Probably at this point the economy. I mean, it's essentially the choice that I'm going to have to make several times in this playthrough. Snowball or immediate. Because having more growth will mean that I can level up my base faster, while having more economy now will mean I can recruit more units now. I think recruiting more units now will probably be more useful for the meantime. So what I'd like to get for my last 4 units is maybe 3 units of Quarrelers and an artillery piece. So I don't think I need to get any more infantry, considering what I've got. 3, 6, 9, 10 warriors and a couple miners. Yeah, I got 12 front row infantry. I don't need any more than that. But we have secured our first province. The pillars, we got the Karaz, the Pillars of Grungi, and Mount Squighorn in the Silver Road. And Grombrindal is well on his way to taking back the world for the dwarves. Will these guys attack? Well, you'll have to see in the next episode. And I hope you guys enjoy this series, as I thoroughly enjoy playing this game. But that's going to be it for now. Thanks for watching, and good hunting out there, fellow Dawi.